The iconic venue offers Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce, along with their A-list celebrity guests, a rare combination of privacy, security, and scale that few locations can match. No windows facing the street at ground level. One central loading zone, a security apparatus built for arena tours and NBA playoff games, already battle-tested for Reed vows. He sang. Sources with direct knowledge said the song Adam wrote for the bride and groom was humorous yet touching and was all about their love, and he came out first before Jason and Kylie Kelce's kids scattered petals as flower girls, while Taylor walked the aisle to one of her own songs arranged for strings. That's the wedding people clicked to see, but almost nobody, until that Friday, actually knew it was happening for certain. For weeks, all anyone had were rumors, permits, and a guessing game about whether Madison Square Garden was even real or an elaborate decoy. That guessing game is where this story really starts. For most of June, nobody in New York could say with certainty that Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce were getting married at Madison Square Garden. What they could say is that something enormous was happening there, and the city itself was leaking the secret one permit at a time. It started with paperwork. Weeks before the forecasted wedding date of July 3, 2026, a permit was filed by an event planning company. The New York Times reported, and the permit closed all streets around the venue from July 2 to July 4 to accommodate an event. Then came a second filing that confirmed just how big this was going to be. Winnick Productions, a company that has produced red carpet events for Grammy and Tony Awards shows and movie premieres, applied for a permit to set up a canopy or tent outside the garden for an event involving up to 999 people. Reporters camped near the loading docks started noticing things that had nothing to do with basketball or concerts, and as materials were loaded into the venue that week, some reports showed video of a man with a Taylor Swift carpenter's shirt operating a machine, while others caught what appeared to be a staircase being hauled into the venue. A carpet got unrolled outside one entrance, then rolled back up before anyone could photograph it properly. Crews worked in and out for days straight, without a single official word. She joked with Graham Norton about her own guest list, saying anyone she'd ever talked to was technically before catching herself. Anyone that I've ever talked to is invited. Swift joked about her wedding in an interview with Graham Norton, before quickly adding, I shouldn't have said any of that. That kind of instinct, say something revealing, then immediately try to take it back, tells you exactly how hard this couple was working to keep details locked down. And for a while, that effort actually produced genuine confusion, not just anticipation. Because here's the twist inside the secrecy. One expert quoted by Forbes, someone who'd worked on the arrangements for JFK Jr.'s wedding, historically one of the most secretive celebrity weddings ever pulled off, floated the theory that the garden could be a complete cover and that no wedding would take place there at all, while others thought it was simply the after-party for an exchange of vows that happened privately to maintain intimacy and dodge the media. That theory almost made too much sense. Think about it. A 20,000-seat arena is one of the worst places on earth to keep something quiet, and one of the best places to control black tie dress code, but may not actually include a marriage, at least as far as anyone outside the inner circle could prove. That uncertainty ran right up until law enforcement itself broke ranks. Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce really are having a wedding at Madison Square Garden, an official told the Associated Press, and a separate law enforcement official briefed on security plans told the AP that the wedding would be held Friday, with a smaller rehearsal dinner Thursday night, speaking on condition of anonymity, because they weren't authorized to discuss the events publicly. That's the moment the secret part of this story started cracking open, not because Swift or Kelce announced anything, but because a wedding this size, in a city this dense with cameras, is almost impossible to fully hide. And once the timeline was confirmed, the next question became obvious. Not because Swift or Kelce announced anything, but because a wedding this size, in a city this dense with cameras, is almost impossible to fully hide. And once the timeline was confirmed, the next question became obvious. Who exactly was on the other side of those curtains? If the venue was the first secret to crack, the guest list was the second. And honestly, it barely lasted a week. By the Thursday before the wedding, the dam had basically broken. Variety reported on the extensive list of celebrities and industry power players confirmed to attend, including close friends like Selena Gomez, the Haim sisters, Gigi and Bella Hadid, Sabrina Carpenter, Ed Sheeran, and Ice Spice. That's the music side. Then there was the country contingent. The couple also extended invites to country stars, Ed Sheeran and Ice Spice. That's the music side. Then there was the country contingent. The couple also extended invites to country stars, including Miranda Lambert, Kane Brown, Little Big Town, Kelce Ballerini, and Maren Morris, plus a level of star power that had nothing to do with either of their industries directly. Beyoncé and Jay-Z were also among the high-profile invitees. Even the football world showed up in force, which makes sense given who the groom is. Guests spotted heading into the garden that Friday included names straight out of the NFL and beyond. Andy Reid, Kelce's own head coach, was seen leaving hours later, alongside 7-time Super Bowl winner Tom Brady. Earlier, director Steven Spielberg and actress Jessica Alba made their respective exits, while stars from the NFL world were also spotted leaving, including 7-time Super Bowl winner Tom Brady and Andy Reid. Kelce is head coach with the Kansas City Chiefs. The arrivals list read like a greatest hits reel of the last 2 decades of pop culture. The celebrities were among a parade of stars seen arriving at MSG Friday, including Ethan Hawke, Gwen Stefani, Benson Boone, Jason Sudeikis, Jimmy Fallon, J-Lo, Ed Sheeran, Abby Wambach, Cooper Kupp, Roger Goodell, Joe Buck, and Jenny Han. TMZ added even more names its own sources had spotted heading in, including Jennifer Lopez, Tim McGraw, Faith Hill, Tom Cruise, Gwen Stefani and Blake Shelton, Reese Witherspoon, Paul McCartney, the Haim sisters, and Stevie Nicks. That last cluster of names, Reese Witherspoon, Paul McCartney, the Haim sisters, and Stevie Nicks. That last cluster of names, McCartney, Nicks, the Haim sisters, wasn't just decoration. There had been chatter for weeks that this wedding wouldn't just have music playing in the background, it would have music being performed live by people who don't typically play other people's weddings. Page 6 had reported that Stevie Nicks and Tim McGraw were set to perform at the wedding, and TMZ's source, even after leaving early, said they had a strong hunch that Paul, Stevie, and Haim were getting ready to sing some songs for the newlyweds. None of that came out of nowhere. Kelce himself had planted the seed on his own podcast, telling Fallon, "Yeah, I think we're live music kind of people, you know? That's a small detail, but it's the kind of thing that turned into Paul McCartney showing up to sing at a football player's wedding." Not every rumored guest made it, though, and that absence became its own story. Fans had spent months wondering whether Swift would invite her ex, now engaged to one of her closest friends. The answer, according to reporting, was yes, but circumstance got in the way. One burning question on fans' minds was whether Taylor would invite her ex-boyfriend Harry Styles, who is now engaged to her friend Zoe Kravitz. And the answer was yes, though Styles would not be in attendance due to his current tour schedule. Beyond the marquee names, there was a whole tier of guests who mattered just as much to the story, even if they weren't chart-topping musicians. Kelce's own football circle turned out, unsurprisingly. His coach and a fellow tight end from his off-field ventures had all but confirmed they'd be there weeks in advance, and George Kittle and Andy Reid had seemingly confirmed their invitations before the event even happened. Swift, for her part, had already tipped her hand about Sheeran, saying flatly that he was a lock to be in attendance. Other confirmed names ahead of the big night included singer Suki Waterhouse and comedian Graham Norton, while people in Page 6 had reported Zoe Kravitz and the New York Knicks starting lineup were on the invite list. By the time Friday night actually arrived, the secret guest list had effectively become public knowledge through nothing but permits, sightings, and sourced reporting, which meant the only thing left truly hidden was what happened once those doors closed. That's the part of this story that turns rumor into record. The rehearsal dinner came first on the Thursday night, and it was intentionally small by this wedding standards. A small rehearsal dinner was planned for Thursday night before the wedding. Friday night, held in a specific part of the arena most fans don't even know exists. Swift and Kelce hosted an event in the Garden's Infosys Theater for 100 people on Thursday, reported to be a rehearsal dinner ahead of a larger black tie event in the arena Friday for between 500 to 999 attendees, according to the city permits. Leaked planning documents gave an almost minute-by-minute breakdown of what that Friday would look like. The NYT shared that doors to the arena would open around 4 p.m. for a cocktail hour that would begin at around 5:30 p.m. The dress code matched the scale of everything else. This wasn't a backyard ceremony. According to the New York Times, it looked to be a formal affair when it came to guests' attire, with a black tie dress code, with many of the women wearing gowns, while a tuxedo was the choice for men. There was some flexibility built in too. Floor-length gowns, elevated cocktail dresses, or dressy separates could also be part of the wardrobe for women. Then there was the couple themselves. Every outlet wanted to know who dressed the bride, and the answer turned out to be as high fashion as anyone predicted. Reports tied various designers to Swift's outfit, and The Hollywood Reporter claimed Swift would wear a custom couture gown made by Christian Dior's Jonathan Anderson. That prediction held up. After the ceremony, the couple's own representative confirmed it directly. Designed by Jonathan Anderson, creative director of Dior Women's, Men's, and Haute Couture collections, in close collaboration with the bride and groom. Kelce, for his part, didn't go the traditional black tuxedo route. TMZ's source inside the event said he opted for a white tux to match his bride's couture gown. Inside the ceremony itself, TMZ's eyewitness account is about as close as anyone outside the guest list is going to get. The setup wasn't on the arena floor most fans picture when they think of Madison Square Garden. It was elevated. The ceremony took place a level up from the ground floor, where there was live music with strings, samples to set the tone, and then came the moment TMZ's source said really landed with the room. Jason and Kylie Kelce as kids were the flower girls, throwing petals around Taylor down the aisle. Hustle night.